Okay, lads, I was running late, unfortunately, because I had to drop off my fishing partner, Clive Roberts. He was up on Peg 13. Anyway, I rushed back, and of course, I set up. Uh, I think it was about five different pole sections, top fives. Um, One was obviously a chop worm flat float, which was part of my plan. Second rig was very light rig, and the third setup was slightly heavier rig. Um, but I'll come back to that in a minute, because as you can see, what I'm actually doing now at the moment is getting my bait out quickly. I just filled up a tub of red mag. Now I'm putting a hemp in, which I cooked the day before. I've also got some hooking packs, which I got separate. This is casters, so I'm just putting in my casters now. Now it's a little tip: any residue water from the hemp, pour it over the casters. That's what I'm doing there now. And obviously, it's when you submerge casters in water, it stops them turning any further. What I had done with my casters the night before, I actually put them in a damp towel and put them in the fridge for an hour, so all the uneven colours become almost the same colour. Right, well, the match has started, so I've started loose feeding a little bit on the inside. My plan was to go across on the feeder and possibly the waggler as well, and the last time I had this particular peg, I done okay off it. I won the section, and I know that the perch live across. The only problem with it was I did actually go on the bridge at the beginning of the match and look down, and I could see it was full of weed, because the water is very clear at the moment. I basically thought, well, that's going to be a no-no today, so I'm just shouting down to the other guy, because I don't think he's realised the match has started, so I just quickly shouted down to him. Anyway, so the plan initially was to go across with the feeder. Of course, that wasn't going to happen now, so my plan was to go sort of down the middle where there was a clear channel, where which I spotted when I was on the bridge, and obviously put the waggler down as well. But my other plan was to fish on the inside. Now I know there's a few perch on the inside, and straight away I made the small little dace and bleak. So what I've done, I just kept kept doing that until it sort of started to fade away. Fortunately for me, it was going a bit. It did actually go on a bit longer than I expected. So what I'm doing, I'm loose feeding slightly upstream. It's a little bit of a slack there. Now prior to the match, I could actually see some fish under the water, so I knew there were fish there under my feet. So rather than ignore them, which I have been doing a lot lately on this venue, so I thought I'd make the most of it this time. In a moment, what I will do as well, I'll put a bit of loose feed. Well, you can see me doing it now. I started loose feed in the middle. I got another fish there then. Small dace at the moment, small bleak and dace. I'm set at about 5.5 foot there, so it's quite deep on the inside, and it shallows up as you go out into the middle. Just looking round, seeing what the angler below me is doing, but I can't quite see him, to be honest with you. Anyway, so I'm loose feeding, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I can see little bleak taking the maggot as it's going down, so I'll have to change the feeding pattern in a minute. So as you can see, I'm loose feeding the hemp out in the middle, about 11 metres. So actually it's at this side of the middle. Now what I'm doing, I'm actually changing the depth on my float a little bit, and I'm actually going to put a bit of worm on as well, because I thought that might eliminate the small fish. Hopefully catch a bigger perch or two. I think what I'm doing now, just sort out some shot in. I want to slightly overshot it if I can, just to hold it back, to give it a slightly better presentation. So what I'm doing, adding a number 8 to the float, or to the bulk I should say. I'm just biting that on now. I'm also thinking, well, I'm going to bait drop it as well, because by loose feeding it's sort of not probably getting down to the bottom to the bigger fish, the perch. I'll still keep loose feeding because obviously I want to keep the little bleak on the surface, but I will put a bait dropper on, and just putting another shot on, just making sure that it's slightly overshotted. Okay, I think I'm ready now. So I'm just going out. I'm looking for my bait dropper now. I don't know. I can't remember where I put it, to be honest. I don't know whether I put it in the top of the box or in one of the sliding shelves. When I looked, there's one there, so a little bit of a problem putting the box back on. So just bear with me for a minute. So I'm holding the pole between my legs and putting my box back, the seat back on. And I think it's in one of the side trays, so yeah, eventually find it. There's my bait dropper, so I'm going to put the bait dropper on the line. It acts as a plummet as well, because it's very uneven, this swim. I noticed if I go in out just I don't know, about 12 inches, it sort of dropped off another 6 inches in depth. So what I'm doing now, I'm putting some loose feed maggots in, casters. So I'm just plonking that out now, out in front of me, checking the depth, just flicking it, making sure the bait dropper empties. So just the one dropper at the moment. I don't want to overfeed it too much if I help it. Okay, so I'm actually still fishing a red maggot here, single red maggot. Now because I put the bait dropper on, I also noticed that I was fishing a little bit shallow, so I'm just going a little bit deeper. So I'm fishing almost dead depth. Hopefully trying to pick up, as I said, those resident perch that do live around here. Again, I'm loose feed in the middle, keeping that bait going in. Now in a moment, I'll tell you what actually happens. I started noticing little roach or fish responding to the loose feed hemp out in the middle. So normally you give it an hour and a half before you go on the hemp. So I'm thinking, even at this early stage, should I or shan't I go out and have a go on the hemp, or shall I just concentrate on the inside line to obviously get all the small fish and the little perch out first? Because usually it dries up. If it doesn't dry up, then the secret, I believe, is to keep going, and because at least you're putting fish in the net. It's not going mad, and I don't think you need a big weight today. I think double figures, a low double could win it today, I'm thinking. So my target weight is going to be sort of 7-8 pound to win the section, and perhaps hopefully do well in the zone, because that's the idea, is to qualify for one of the Evesham weekend matches. Because as of yet I haven't qualified for any. Okay, so I'm using a 1 gram float, bulk down, about 18 inches from hook, 2 droppers below the bulk. I'm putting a small pouch of hemp in. When I say small, it's a mini pouch. I'll actually show you that in a minute, and I'll show you the difference between the mini pouch and a standard pouch. It's a little secret when you're hemp fishing, is to make sure that you don't overfeed it, especially on the Avon. Some anglers only put 2 or 3 grains in. I'm actually put in a dozen, 2 dozen grains in at the moment, just to get something going. But I did notice the water's flowing quite fast as well, because we've had a bit of rain, and it is, although the water's clear, it's actually pushing through quite hard as well. As I said, coming back to my rigs, on my pole rigs, by the way, I've got, as I said, one set quite off the bottom, quite light, and I've got one sort of dead depth, or just dragging on slightly, and that's slightly heavier. Both pencil floats. So keep feed in the middle, keep it going in. Because when you actually fish the hemp, you've got to put it in almost heavy trot down. Keep the fish interested. Okay, I'll just speed this a little bit up now. Okay, as I'm speeding the camera up, as you can see, I'm catching plenty of fish, small, dace bleak, small perch, and it is responding a little bit to the bait dropper, which is good. So anyway, as I said, I'm concentrating on this only purely just because I'm putting fish in the net. The only problem I've got here, though, of course, is that I'm not actually, although I am feeding hemp out on the catapult line, it's not as consistent as I would like it to be. But I'm trying, you try your best, don't you? And basically, as I say, if you're catching fish, you've got to concentrate on it. As I say, you never come off a feeding fish. And in this case, as I said, I'm concentrating getting as many fish as I can in before it dries up, but at the same time, do my best to feed out in the middle, or this side of the middle, I should say, just adjusting the float end. And I'm looking down the side all the time, because sometimes it's quite deep on the inside. I'm thinking it might get the odd perch, might come in. I just had one then. They might come in, and I do put a little pinch of maggots down as well, in case, because I can see the bottom, and if I do see any perch come in, then I'll quickly go down there. But as it happens, I only saw a couple of fish once, and they never come back. It's getting a bit hot now, so I took my top off, and which is unexpected. I didn't expect it to be so warm, but it was a nice and warm day in the end. Yeah. Right, I'll just watch this for a little bit now, and I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, I've slowed the video up again. The reason I've done that is because I actually have hooked a nice perch here, probably the biggest perch, or biggest fish in the match, I would say. Just netting it now. If you notice, just unshift the whip. It makes it a lot easier to land the fish. And there you are. It's about half a pound perch. So as I said, it's definitely worth catching. shame it didn't catch any more that size, and that would have given me the extra weight. But anyway, I thought I'd just slow this little bit up just to show you. Back into the net. Place the landing net to the left of me, and then re-hook it. I think I'm using worm now, obviously trying to pick up the bigger perch. Okay. Okay, I've decided to basically go onto the hemp. The main reason is on the loose feed line, the 11 metre line, I noticed there was a few flashes on a few fish topping. So I thought, well, I'll go up there a bit earlier than normal, because generally you wait at least hour and a half before you go on to the hemp line, simply to build up their confidence. So as I said, I've gone out first chuck and I've had a bite. So I'll just quickly check that hemp now to make sure it's still on the hook. Yeah, still on there. So right, so I'm back out there now. So that, in a sense, gave me a little bit of a confidence then, thinking, well, how, maybe they've come on the hemp line quicker than than I anticipated. So basically, by holding the pole over your right leg, you can actually place the catapult in your left hand and flick it out, and bang, straight away, as I said, second shut down, I'm into a roach. Which, so that's quite good, I thought, at this early stage. It was a bit small, but you never know. Sometimes you catch the small ones, and then the bigger ones generally, come on or lay back just below the smaller ones. So the secret, of course, with hemp fishing is keeping it going little and often. And we're talking about small pinches of hemp, a dozen or so. You don't want any more than that, because otherwise, they won't have a chance to look at your hook bait. And the other secret is, of course, is to keep your loose feed going in. And if you visualize where it's ended up in your swim, then what you do, you follow your float down, your tackle down in that loose feed, and that's what I've done there. So they were fish and a roach. Now you might notice that as I'm fishing, I'm sort of speeding up a little bit, because I'm very mindful of the fact that the pike are having a go. When the water's low and clear, generally, obviously the pike can see fish, quite easily, and it's very prone to being attacked. And the Wallace Raven, as I mentioned previously, it's notorious for jack pike, which take your fish off the hook. So I'm in again. Yeah, so that's that's very encouraging, knowing that the fish are there almost as soon as I've gone in. Now the only thing is, of course, do they keep coming? And as long as I don't get attacked by pike, basically you lay your tackle out. I'm using a 414 float here, a very light float. Putting a dozen or so hemp into the catapult. I'm using a mini catapult, by the way. I'll put an illustration up of a mini catapult compared with a standard catapult. And these mini catapults, they got very small pouches, so you can't put a lot into them, if you know what I mean. So when you pinch your hemp, usually you don't put more than a dozen in. And I know some anglers put less than that. So anyway, so I'm getting lots of indications. Get a few, that's sort of attacking the bait, just going to the water. So just a matter of working this out now. Do you hold the float back? The secret is, of course, is to loose feed, visualize where it's going, and bring your bait up over that loose feed, let it travel down together, and then generally if there's any fish, that's where you'll get them. Yeah, as I said, yeah, as I said, it's going down with the loose feed, and because you're putting a slightly larger hemp on the hook, you know, they're going to pick yours out a lot quicker than the smaller paddle hooks. Now I've threaded the hemp on through the kernel on the top and threaded it down with the point coming through the slit. So that means it'll actually stay on the hook for quite a few fish, hopefully. They won't come off. Years ago we used to just put the hook into the slit, but generally you strike and it comes off and you got to rebait. But this way, you know, the hemp will stay on the hook for long periods, and quite often you'll catch, you know, half a dozen fish on the same hemp. I've actually put a video up on YouTube about hooking hemp, so if you want to do a little search, Clive Branson, hemp fishing, it'll show you how it can be done. Yeah, there's many ways of doing it, of course. One of the lads actually threads is with a bit of cotton, and the night before usually puts about 30 or 40 hemp seeds and puts a bit of cotton through it with a help of a needle. Yeah, I've got another one on now. So that's very encouraging. As I said, they start to, you know, come those fish. They're only small, but as long as I can catch a fish, that's the main thing. Starting to build a bit of a weight up. I was talking to one of the guys afterwards, Ian Shepherd, about, you know, he's a master of hemp sea fishing on the Avon, and I said, you know, is there any tips to actually catch the bigger roach? And he said, not really. He said they're either there or they're not. But I usually find that they generally are slightly deeper than the smaller ones, because they're a bit more weary, if you like. But even so, as long as I'm catching this and getting bites, I'm sort of concentrating on this line. So what I'm doing, I'm still loose feeding on the inside, just in case it dries up and I need to come back into the inside line. As I said, I'm getting plenty of indications, so it's just a matter of concentrating, putting that loose feed hemp in on a regular basis. By use of putting the pole over your right leg, you can hold the catapult and feed, and of course if you get a bite you simply strike the fish on. As I said, I'm bringing them up to the surface pretty quick, because as I said, I'm very mindful of those pike that plagued me on the inside. And the chances are that they're going to attack me on the outside as well. So I'm using my sensor support here, and very light, very soft pole. As I say, I've got 5 top 5s, and this one I'm using is the lightest of them all. And again, and later on I do go into the heavier one, but I find the slighter one far more effective, because the fish are sort of coming up in the water, you know, they're obviously chasing the loose feed up in the water. Anyway, as you see, I'm holding the pole and filling the cup at the same time. Again, you know, if you get a bite like you did then you simply drop the catapult into your bait tray on the left of you, so everything is smooth. Also, you might notice I'm taking my time putting the bait on, trying to find the right size head to put on the hook, and then, as you say, it seems like a long time, but in fact, if you pick out the right size head and hook it correctly, it does take a few seconds to do it, but it's worth it because in the long term, because sometimes you can catch half a dozen fish on the same hook bait. So there you are. So that's a little tip. And you have managed to get it onto the hook. Just have to loose feed it again now. For the little pinch just above me. Bring the feed up, bring the float up so it goes down together with the feed. I think I fed twice then. Yeah, so I'm going to do again. So now I'm starting to build a bit of a rhythm now. Nice little roach. So see, it's a shame they're not any bigger, but at the end of the day, it's building a weight, which is the main thing. So my target weight, if they keep coming, will be £10. But unfortunately, they don't because of the pike. I am short of a couple of pounds. Mama. Again, I'm taking my time. Obviously, until I get the right bait, and make sure that the hook goes through it so it stays on. Of course, on a busy pathway, there's a lot of people walking behind me talking, and also we've got a lot of traffic on the road going over. But at the end of the day, you concentrate on your fishing, don't you? Get up that one then. I'm sure we did. There's a little tip as well with if you think the hemp's come off, if you retrieve the float on the surface, you'll see that it makes a little bubble. I'll fish on again here. So I've got to be pretty quick because, as I say, I'm very mindful of the pike. Also, with the disgorger, I keep it. I think I dropped that fish head. I keep it in the bait box, so it's a lot, so it's much quicker and easier to find, and rather than behind your ear or hanging around your neck here, I find it's a lot quicker to just place your disgorger into the bait box. And I use the very thin metal one as well for hemp fishing. I find it much easier because you can actually disgorge the hook and the bait together, so you don't have to rebait. Of course, in this occasion, the bait did come off, so I put it back on again. Laying the bait out. Pinch again. Yeah, I'm holding it back as well slightly against the flow because by holding it and letting it go very, very gently, you find that as you let it go, you do sometimes get a bite quite often, because it's almost like a natural sort of presentation to them. Yeah, I just worked then, for example. Okay. So it's all about getting into the rhythm. See, I like to save that bait stayed on the hook. Some out again. So see how quick it can be. You know, once you've got that hemp on the hook. As I say, I use a matrix very fine wire hook. I used to use a super match, but unfortunately you can't get them anymore, the matrix, but they make another one very similar to it. Ideal for hemp fishing. In again. So this is building up quite nicely now. Oh, that's a nice fish. That's probably one of my bigger roach. As I say, it's a shame I didn't get the bigger fish, otherwise it would have definitely, you know, gone into doubles. I think about 3 years ago I actually had 16 pound and won the match with hempfish. I was on peg 45 at the time. But that day I didn't get pestered by pike, and I did have bigger fish, which reminds me, when I spoke to John afterwards, that's the chap who I came third with, joined third, and he was telling me that he had bigger fish and he didn't have pike trouble. So, you know, like I say, it's fortunate that I did manage to come third and qualify, of course. As you see, you know, if you saw the original video, you see that. But I'll leave that bit on the end as well. Nice to watch it again. Because when you get your little achievements now and again, it's nice to reflect on it. So yeah, there's some great company. I mean, you've got some of the best anglers in the country fishing the Savin. So if you ever do any good, it's you know, it's a feather in your cap, really. It's hard enough to qualify as it is, so I'm very grateful I have, and I'm glad that you know, that I do. I think it was last year I was fourth, and the year before I was fourth on one on the Witchaven, and then the other one was on the Evesham match itself. Now, as you can see, I'm actually looking up at the sky then to see, making sure the bait was still on the hook. And as I say, another little tip is, if you retrieve on the surface of the water, you can always see the hook bait actually on the surface, so you know then that, you know, the bait is still on there. Because you know, if you're fishing 11, 12, 13 meters, 14 meters, it's difficult to see the hemp sometimes, unless you've got, you know, 20/20 vision. But otherwise, you know, you can be fishing away without a bait on the hook, which is a bit of a time waster. So, oh, I dropped that one. Cursing then. Cursing my luck. But it happens, unfortunately, if you're using a bigger seed on the hook, sometimes you'll find that the small, especially if the fish are small, they're not going to get it down their throat. And if you ever notice, if you do hemp fish at all, quite often the seed is right down the gullet. It's mainly because the roach have to use their farang teeth, which are in the back of the throat, which need to crush the hemp, and so that's why they have to, you know, get it deep to actually crush it. They do say that you know, the fish mistake hemp for small shells. I don't know if it obviously must be a natural bait for fish. again, as you see, I'm taking my time, obviously, to put the bait on the hook. If there was a quicker way of doing it, I'm sure some viewers could tell me, but generally, it does take a second or two. Probably about midway through the match now, and as I say, I've been catching quite consistently. It's just unfortunately, the fish are not quality fish, but as long as I keep putting fish in the net, that's the main thing. Just checking that bait again. Okay, I'll let you watch the next bit now. You can probably pick up a few little things that I'm doing. It's pretty straightforward hemp fishing. It's just having the common as well. Again, you see me still feeding on the inside line. It does go quiet now and again, and I think it's because of the pike. The pike, you just come in and they come and go. As long as I'm getting little bites, which I am, I'm still quite confident that the fish are still there. Yeah, so that's it. I haven't heard much along the at this stage along the match length. I don't know what's happening. Nobody's come up and told me anything. So as I said, sometimes that's a good thing. Just keep your head down. Just keep catching. And it's always a good idea as well to have a couple of rigs set up. Because if sometimes you're prone to tangle. If for example, you hook a fish and it comes off, then because there's about a dozen small stots on the line, it does tend to tangle up, and it takes ages to try and untangle it. So you're better off just putting another rig up, really. Yeah. So I still got a fish coming. So I'll let you follow and just see if we catch a few more fish. Okay, it's half hour to go now. The pike moved in, unfortunately. I was having I was catching a few on the hemp, and then the bloody pike moved in. Trying to get it, trying to bloody get your fishing with them around is murder. I just lost one then, funny enough, just as I'm talking to you, like. Oh, but a lot of them are small, these roach. That's a shame, really. But I had a good little run in the middle of the match, and then now it's like the last hour and a half, 2 hours, it's slowed right up. Like every time I get one on, I seem to get a pike on. Anyway, I'll carry on. What's going on now? Okay, here we got a bird's eye view of me fishing. And you've got an idea of the paces of the water as well, As you see, it's going through a fair bit. It's not exactly slow. But then, I suppose it's giving the fish confidence as well in fast water. And as I say, I'm fishing shallow, so I'm way off the bottom. And I think the fish are, coming off the bottom anyway, they're probably hugging near the bottom, and as I see the bait coming, probably coming up and gathering it, And that's what's probably why I'm missing quite a lot of bites, which we do with hemp anyway. Okay, well, thanks for watching. I'll just watch the end of the video now, and my summing up, and see you on the next one. Okay, the match is over. It's an interesting day. Didn't go to plan. I was going to sort of fish the feeder, and I was going to fish the waggler, but what happened, basically, I come on the inside, stitching a couple of perch on the maggot. Bait dropped it, and then and as I was firing hemp out, I seen a couple of flash on the top. So I thought, after about half hour, 3/4 an hour, I thought I'll have a quick look, and they were there. Roach on the hemp. The only trouble is they were very small. I haven't used my landing net once on the roach. That's it. So be interesting. It's what I weigh anyway. As I said, I had a bit of a lean time in the middle of the match. Well, in fact, the last hour and a half has been a struggle because of the pike attacks. But there you are. I enjoyed it. As I say. Oh, the ambulances. Well, just waiting for the weigh-in now, and let's see how I've gone on. If you want more of a breakdown on the actual match, I will be re-recording this and giving my thoughts behind it, which obviously I put on the membership side. So if you want to come and join, you're more than welcome. If not, any questions, just fire away. The idea is, of course, I'm trying to save up to get a little body cam, so I can have a little body cam, when I'm fishing. So I think a lot of the viewers miss a lot of the action, close up action. Trouble is, I'm a pensioner now. I can't afford just lash out. So in between the matches, I got to save up a little bit. So any contribution towards is most grateful. Okay, let's wait for the weigh-in. Okay, well, there we are, 7:13. Not quite £8, but second best weight from the top. So, sure that could be alright for a section. We'll see now.
There's £265 in total. You'll have to share it between you. It's Clive Branson and John Tocknell, both at 7:13 of pegs 22 and 43. And in second place today, picking up £150, is Lee Gardner. 912 of 51. And your overall winner today, picking up £160 with a weight of £10 of peg 1, is Ian Jennings.
Okay, there we are then. So joint third with our friend John. Well done, John.
Right, yeah, good.
Yeah, we both qualified for the final. So
Happy days.
happy days, isn't it? Yeah. So
happy days.
all the best, John. Yeah. So we both had 7:13 each. So there we are. So it's a funny old place. This, as I say, I got piked out. It's a shame that. I mean, £10 won it. £9 second. I could have done that easy, but there we are. It's one of them things. Got to be grateful for little mercies. Can we? I may Clive.
Blown out again.
Blown out again. That's how it is. And all of a sudden, you know, you get a winning run. Then, as I always said, you know, you got to take the rough with the smooth, and when the good ones come, take advantage of it. All the best. See you on the next one.